This video is going to build off the sort of general how to help as part of just sort of your normal trail usage by talking a little bit more about corridor maintenance, which is basically a springtime and an after storm sort of activity. Now, every once in a while, something's going to fall across the trail. It's not after a storm, but that's generally what we're talking about. After trail construction, this is pretty low. It's pretty easy work. We're not talking chainsaws or anything like that, unless it's a very large tree across the trail. We're talking hand tools, light work. So we've got to make sure everybody's signing a volunteer waiver, and that's a best practice, even with our terms and conditions that we post at the trailhead on the website. And it's also a condition of our insurance policy, even apart from those terms and conditions. This video is going to be used first through the email distribution list, and the waiver is going to be attached to that. In the near term, when the new website goes live, the waiver will be available there. And then sort of in the midterm, we're looking at some volunteer management apps so that we can make all this electronic, easy electronic signatures. And we could also track volunteer hours on an individual basis so that we can recognize those volunteers and let people know who's doing all the work to make these trails possible. For fallen limbs and debris, the basic thing is just to stop and clear a few branches and some other downfall after storms. If it's something you can ride around and you're not on a gravity trail, then definitely don't slam on your brakes to clear the small limb, but clear things when you're riding up it. And that way, it's just a smarter, easier thing for everybody to do. We don't expect you to stop all the way down Promise, picking up every little thing. And the first person doesn't need to get everything. If everybody will get something, it'll get clear quick. A little bit more advanced is to carry a small folding saw, which will let you get larger limbs and some small trees that fall. Don't touch anything you're not comfortable with. And if you're going to get a folding saw, measure the pack you're going to use and get a curved blade and the most aggressive teeth. Silky is, without going completely crazy, Silky is the high quality sort of folding saw. I've got these cervical thoracic outlet issues, so I will not ride with a backpack unless I absolutely have to. So I just measured my hip pack, and that fits in my hip pack. And if it goes with me most of the time, and it definitely goes with me if I'm out there the day after a storm, even if it's just high winds. Again, bigger stuff, leave alone and report it. For now, if you can drop a pin and email Trails at Standing Boy. For fallen trees, if you can give us an approximate diameter, and maybe even some pictures, like if the thing's all leaned up and under tension, that's a very different animal than it just being laying across the trail. So some information is helpful. This is another thing that's on the maybe mid to long-term to-do list, is to get a better way to report those issues. So that's kind of year-round in terms of picking up deadfall. Spring growth, here we can sort of trade out the folding saw for some clippers. And we just need to cut back things that are extending out into the trail corridor, both sort of that horizontal corridor and the vertical corridor. Again, there's no need to do this. I mean, somebody's got to do it on gravity trails, which is probably best done on foot. But on all these other trails, just do it on the uphills and not the downhills. This is a great activity for kids or beginner rides, because you just ride sweeper, stop and cut something, catch back up. It's easy to do it that way. And we don't all need to be out there together to use hand clippers. It lets work days be devoted to things that require more than one person in a little bit of a team effort. Again, like that's what I ride with. The Felco stuff is, again, nice without going crazy. And the nice ones kept sharp, they will cut surprising things. But just ride with it, again, in a hip pack. And if everybody will do that during the spring and cut a few things here and there, we'll keep, all our eyes intact and the scratches off our cheeks, etc. On cutting back, anticipate, like this branch is right on the edge of the tread, but we ought to go ahead and cut it back rather than wait for it to grow 6 more inches and become a problem. The insides of corners. This tree's, it's hard to see from the picture. The tree's fine because it's a tree. Don't cut down trees. 2, it's far back enough in the corner, but when you come around this corner, you want to lean your bars, and the more this stuff grows, the more you're going to catch it. So don't think about how it's going to be ridden if you're a rider, and let's get the inside of corners and the places you're going to be leaning your bike over and catching things with your bars. Another one is look up. This tree is gone because this rock kept shifting and pointing you into the tree. But before that, if you were walking along or riding on the ground, you were fine. But when you jumped off this rock, you got a face full of leaves. So look up whenever there's, little rocks like this or places to get off the ground to cut. And then be discerning. Think sort of horizontal, not vertical. Anything that's tree-like and vertical needs to be left. Branches, cut those. The smaller vertical weed junk, definitely pull it out. On the inside of those corners is even better than cutting. Sight lines is even a little more advanced yet. We really want to be careful that people don't overdo it here. The idea is this is on Hissy Fit and it's bidirectional, and it's pretty fast coming around this corner. Right now it's fine, but if this were to get all green and bushy where you could not see through, then you have the potential for people just to appear right here as you were climbing up, and it's not it's just not a good situation. This stuff is difficult to anticipate because you don't really know how all this is going to grow out. It's best to sort of notice this into late spring and summer. And once it becomes a problem, to go in and cut back just enough that we have good visibility. We definitely don't want to cut down this big tree. We just would want to cut branches and keep it open. And again, this is best just to notice where there's a problem and then fix it. The final thing to pay attention to is the signage. I know where the trails are. A lot of you do, but a lot of people don't. So we need to kind of watch that. This is one that's been cut back before, which is great. The best thing to do is when we're out there doing drain maintenance in the winter is to pay attention to this stuff and just chop this thing out. But if you're out there with clippers and you see a sign getting really grown up, we need to cut this stuff as well as stuff that's into the trails. So that spring growth and keeping the trail corridor clear, I know a lot of you are already doing this. It's hugely appreciated. But if a few more people would ride with some folding saws and some clippers, again, sign the volunteer waiver, and do a little bit of this, then it would make a huge, huge difference and would allow sort of full-on volunteer days to be devoted to other things. Thanks for watching and thanks for helping. It's appreciated very much.